Welcome to Post Game on the Pitch. This is Maz Vidamar of CascadiaSports.net. With me is Nico Moreno of Sounder at Heart. And to my right here from Radio Cascadia, Stephen Agan. And to my left is John Marshall of MLS Great Britain. Gentlemen, how are you? Glad to have you. Sounders win 2-1. Nico, let's just go with you right now. Sounders win 2-1 over FC Dallas in a wild game. You talked with FC Dallas coach Oscar Pereira. What did he have to say?
He honestly believed that his team did more than what the score reflected. He believed that Seattle won on 2 set pieces, and that was it. Kind of hard to understand knowing that Seattle simply was better statistically in duels, in shots, in corners, in crosses. But obviously the coach was very frustrated with the way the game ended, and he ended up thinking that they should have had the win today.
Steven, say what you want in terms of whether Seattle should have won, didn't win, but this is the second time they've beat a quality opponent, is it not?
Exactly. Just in the last few weeks, in this now 5-match winning streak, 8-match unbeaten run, they've beaten NYCFC and FC Dallas. They are the only 2 wins of the year the club has over winning opposition. And you just have to feel that even if they manage to get into the playoffs, they have to do something to prove their credentials for once they get there. A win over a top side in the West like Dallas shows that they could make some waves if they do make it to the postseason.
John, Sounders got a new player that came in and played today. What was your thoughts on him?
Yeah,
Brad Smith.
Brad Smith gets a start, first game for Sounders. I think he only had about 4 practices in him, and he went, I believe, about 65, 70 minutes in this game before being subbed off. He's really, really fast player. Had a lot of good play up the wing for Seattle, made some really beautiful crosses, and was great getting back defensively. It reminds me a little bit of Jovan Jones to an extent, his ability to get up and get into the attack more, but still quick enough to get back on defense. I think it's a really a great signing for Seattle, and it's going to be fun to see how he improves as he gets more comfortable with his team.
Another great signing that maybe I'd like to hear you guys talk about whether it's a good signing, but the productivity is Raul Ruidiaz in terms of him getting touches and what is going on there.
It's pretty remarkable. Ruidiaz had 16 touches in 90 minutes tonight. He was a lot more involved in the play than that statistic would suggest. But for an 8-figure investment, as the club has described him so frequently, you have to get more touches on the ball than that, and you have to impact the game more than that, don't you, Nico?
You do, and I feel like there has to be a way to fit him in an order that you can get the best out of him. He's a goal scorer. He wants to score. He can do that. But I feel like right now he's doing a lot of that hard work that Will Bruin was doing, having to go against 2 center backs, and he's not using that capability because he doesn't have any space to get in between channels where he can be dangerous. So you got to try to find a way to either get him some help up top by either pushing the winger a little bit higher, or what's worked in the past is bringing in Will Bruin in that 4-4-2. So you just got to do a little bit more to get the best out of Raul.
But does a formation change? I know we've been talking about the 4-4-2. Does it make sense, though, since you've won 5 in a row and you're unbeaten in your last 8, Steven?
You do need to find some way to get Ruidiaz more involved than he was tonight. Whether that is switching formations or not, I mean, that's really up to Schmetzer and what works, right? But we have a solution to this problem. Bruin is a solution to that problem. Tonight, Sounders 2-1 up in this game for a lot of the second half, and you have to feel that if that game's at 1-1, you do see that change with Bruin coming on. Schmetzer able to hold it with the luxury of the lead.
All right, real quickly, 16 touches is not enough. How many do you, Nico, how many touches does Ruidiaz need for both of you? I'll ask you that question for you to feel that he's effective, outside of a goal, obviously.
I wouldn't set myself so much in the amount of touches, but it's the quality of touches. You can't have him get so far back that he's not going to be closer to the goal where he can be dangerous, or you can give him the ball when he has 2 center backs right next to him. So I would be more concerned about the quality of touches he gets, but I would like to see him in the 20s when it comes to that. However, they'd have to be good quality touches.
Is Nico Lodeiro part of the issue, or is he helping the situation?
I think that Lodeiro and Ruidiaz are the 2 guys who need to touch the ball pretty much every offensive possession for Seattle. You can maybe use a basketball analogy, right? You've got the dominant center, right? You've got a really dominant center. He's going to score every time he's got a one-on-one matchup. You got to feed the ball into the post at least once a possession, right? Ruidiaz is your guy in the attack. He's got to touch the ball, or you've at least got to target him. as far as number of touches, roughly 3 times more than he had tonight. Roughly 50 touches. But really what's important is that you're targeting him and making him the focal point of the attack, possession in, possession out.
John, Spencer talked about this in the post game. Victor Rodriguez is back. Do you put him in right away for Harry Shipp, or do you, I gotta throw you one, my brother. I gotta throw you one.
Spencer did even say it in the post-game press conference. It's going to be really tough to just pull Harry Shipp out of that role because he's played so well recently. In the last couple games, it's been a really important role to the success the team has had. So he loves the competition. He likes that he's going to have 2 guys fighting for the same spot, trying to get those starts and those minutes. I don't think I would start Rodriguez yet, just because you're on a 5-game winning streak, 8 games unbeaten. I wouldn't change too much, and I think that Harry Shipp's done really, really well in that position. But it is something looking at rest and backlog of games that are going to be coming up for the rest of the year. He may be able to have the luxury of being able to switch guys in and out and try different lineups.
Speaking of changes, where we got to ask the question: where was Nuhu? Yoo-hoo, woo-hoo, Nuhu. Where was he at?
There are just times where coaching decisions have to be made. I'm not really sure where Nuhu is, but he was definitely not part of the 18. You'd have to think it was definitely a coaching decision, knowing that he was not limited during practice, was physically fit, and practiced the entire week. So it'd have to be a coaching decision.
All right. As we wrap up, I'd like to ask each one of you, what do you need to see from the Sounders for this streak to continue? We're going to start this way and go that way since we're over there. Well, what do you need to see from the Sounders for this streak to continue?
I think the most important thing for Seattle is going to be being creative in front of goal. I think for many points of the game, their attack got almost too predictable. Trying to run up the same sides, do the same thing, get a ball wide and get across in. And Dallas was able to, frustrate the Sounders offense because of that. Seattle got a lot of set pieces off of corners. I forget the final total, but I know they had 11 in the first half. Only got 1 goal off of that corner. And it's part of that is because it's similar set pieces every single time.
14
total for the game. So I think I would want to see them being a little bit more creative offensively in the attack, especially in the final third of deciding not just to put the ball wide every single time, but look for guys in the center, look for guys inside the box to try and make defenses guess more.
FC Dallas had 3, Seattle had 14. For you?
You get the sense that the Seattle side is still gelling and is still growing in terms of chemistry and confidence and their combination play in the attack. I think that one thing you could key in on is the speed of counterattack still. They need to move the ball a little bit quicker still. But as they grow more comfortable with each other, as this winning streak continues, as this unbeaten run continues on, you feel that they are finding their stride, that they're getting better and better. I just don't think that we've seen close to the ceiling for this team yet. Now that we've seen a win over a top side like Dallas tonight, there's really a lot of room for them, with 7 or 8 moderately easy games out of their last 12, to really be on a great streak going into the playoffs here. I think it's dependent on being ruthless, being efficient, being direct.
Nico?
I think you gotta. I love what Steven said about making your focal point to your most dangerous attacking player. And you do that by keeping the balance that you have in the middle of the field and in your back line that's been outstanding. But you have to do more up front because you cannot be winning games, especially going forward, just on set pieces. They did well, but they need to be more efficient in the final third. And you can do that by trying to fix it up with maybe another player and keeping that balance in the back.
I say put in Victor Rodriguez, bring in my man Dempsey in there in the mix. I'm just putting that out there. But hey,
you're trying to get to the board and just erase that. I'm
not quite, but pretty close. That is post game on the pitch. Nico Moreno of Sounders at Heart, Stephen Hagan of Radio Cascadia, John Marshall of MLS Great Britain, Maz Vidamari of CascadiaSports.net. Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you again.